Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your first Tuesday tune-in for the online course Redesign and Faculty Certification Program. Each week on a Tuesday, I will be reaching out to you, tuning in, if you will, to offer you announcements, information, a sneak peek at some stuff, possibly things like that I think will be beneficial for you as you move through the cohort. It is a good practice for you to watch these videos all the way through because generally they have some important stuff in there that I think can be beneficial for you as well as your students in the future. So I hope that you get through this or get out of this something that's important to you and things that will be meaningful to you in your teaching practice. So it is a good idea from the standpoint of teaching in general to be communicative with your students, right? So I would say finding a way to reach out to them at least once a week. To touch base, whether that's to share kind of what they've got coming up, what maybe they've covered, offering kudos for things that you've seen in the previous week, things like that. Mentioning students by name also too when you can to offer those kudos. And then even mentioning situations in the course where you think the students could do better. Not by name, of course, but where you're saying, hey, I don't think we quite understood this particular part of this chapter. Let's go back over it and talk about it again. That kind of a thing. Letting the students know that you're engaged and interested. In this case, I wanted to show you a couple things since we're here. First is the fact that I have uploaded the recordings of our orientation webinars. You're going to find them under course information in the course. So you'll click on it, it'll open, and you can scroll down to where it says orientation webinar recordings. Click on that, and it will open up, and you'll see each of the orientation webinars. You'll see the slide deck, so you can get access to the slide deck that I used. Woohoo! And then you've got orientation webinar number 1 and orientation webinar number 2. So pick your poison. 2 might have a little bit more information in it because it's the second time we did it that day. So sometimes we just remember more stuff. And honestly, 7:30 in the morning, sometimes the brain isn't working quite as well that early. Sometimes it is. I am a morning person. But number 2 generally tends to be we have more questions, and also people are more engaged in that one as well. So if you want to, feel free to watch either one of those videos. They've been added as Kaltura embeds in the course, so you can just watch them right there. So anyway, remember you can find these in the course where you're the student, which is that online course Redesign and Faculty Certification Program course. Remembering, of course, that it looks kind of like this if you've got your courses set to be in the grid mode. If you have it in a list mode, you're going to have to scroll down and find the right one corresponding. So this one here, right? Ultra Spring 2023. So the cohort 1, that one will be the one for you as well. So anyway, you'll go in there, you'll click on course information, and then orientation webinar recordings. So the thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is progress tracking. And this is a feature inside Ultra Courses, which I think is super beneficial for you and your students for a couple of reasons. One, many times, if the students are like I was as a student, I like to know where I've been, what I've looked at, so it helps me kind of focus into what I haven't seen as I move through the course. So as an instructor, I can enable something called progress tracking. Currently mine is on, so I don't need to turn it on, but if yours isn't, you turn it on here where it says progress tracking, it'll say turn on, and boop, you enable it. Then, were I a student, I'm going to turn on my student preview. Remember, I talked about this at our orientation, that the student preview is a great tool for you to make your way through your course as a student, so you can see what's going on as your students see it, and maybe even identify obstacles to their learning before they run into them, which is a bonus. So now I'm looking at the course as a student. You will note inside these guys, there's nice little bubbles where I to click through the information, right? So if I click on program syllabus and access it and then close it, it puts a little halfway bubble on it. So on items that aren't things that students submit, right? Like documents and things like that, a student can know that they've actually looked at it. So a halfway bubble means that it's been looked at. You're going to see this too as an instructor. But a clicked all the way, you click it again, puts a check mark next to it as a student, which confirms for you, the student, that you've seen it and done it. I've been there, done that, read the book, the whole 9 yards. So each one of these things as a student, when I click on them, it automatically gives me that half check. So I know that I've at least opened it. And the instructor can see that too, which is great. And then I click it again to give it the full, right? Now, I can make my way through each one of these wonderful things. And I'm just going to do that now just to show you kind of what that looks like as a whole, right? So I click that link. It puts the halfway check for me. I'm going to go ahead and go to the virtual office as well. Click on it and close it. Come back. And lastly, that orientation webinar recordings page as a student. And I'm going to come back and click it again. Now, once I've clicked everything inside this folder, it actually shows up as I've seen everything in it. I've looked at everything in it. So now as a student, I know that I've looked at that. Now, when it comes to actual content, like things that I would submit, it's going to know that I did it too. So watch this. I can go to this pre-assessment activity option here, which is an assignment. And I click on View Assessment, which opens it up for me as a student. I then, attach or type in my submission. So in this case, I would type in pre-assessment submitted. Huzzah! And then I can tab out of there and go down here and hit submit. Am I sure? Yes, I am positive. And done. So now, because I have done that, because I've clicked on that pre-assessment activity and done it completely, when I go and look at it, it's going to have a full check mark next to it because it's an assignment. It's going to record that I've submitted it and say, yep, the student's done that. It's ready to go, right? So I can do that all the way through the course. I can check on the things. I can complete them as myself as a student. And for me as a student, it helps me know where I am, what I've submitted, how far along I've done in the course. Now, as an instructor, there's a bonus, right? There's things that I get access to. I'm going to save that. I get access to because I've done that, right? So for instance, because I have actually been in here and done that kind of a thing, I can actually find out information about any particular folder or learning module or down to the item level, and I'll show you in a bit, of the course. So in this case, as the instructor, I can go to where any of these things are, go to my little editing menu, which is that ellipses, that more menu, the 3 dots, click it, and access student progress, right? So if I click on student progress, you will see first by student name who's actually opened it and who hasn't unopened it, the whole 9 yards. And I can get even a progress summary. 1 person's marked it complete, 12 have started, and 34 folks have left it unopened. So you'll see that you can actually, as an instructor, get access to that information. I can then select a student and message them right from this interface and be like, hey, guys, I'm noticing that, or students, I'm noticing that we were having some issues in one of the activities. Turns out that part of the information for that activity is inside this particular place, and not many of you have read that. So it's a way to gauge engagement. So now were I to click on one particular thing, right? So if I open up, for instance, the 24/7 support desk document, at the top of that document, you're going to see this nice little, I can get to it this way too. So I don't have to actually just access the 3-dot menu when I'm looking at an item. I can come in and click the student progress tab, which then shows me how I was doing on this specific thing, the support desk, which is pretty cool, right? I like it. It's a great way for me to know who's, I can check the progress status. I can sort it by who's unopened, started, marked complete, and get a good view of where my students are on the course and gauge their interactivity in the course. Again, I can still get to it by going here and student progress. Same thing with discussion forum. I have access to that. View analytics, and I can actually see how many people have posted, how many times they've posted, all those good types of stuff right there in the discussion forum area. A couple other things, if I go up here, because I've enabled this progress tracking, it gives me a little bit more information in things like analytics. So when I come up to analytics, I can go through my course activity. Our first due date isn't until Thursday, so I'm not surprised that we don't see any grades in here. Anywho, you're going to see that you can, by accessing that analytics tab, you can get those same reports from a scatter plot to just a full list of stuff. So all of these things are here for you to help you be a better instructor, to help you get in tune with where your students are and what's going on. That being said, I hope this has been helpful. Our first due date is coming up this Thursday, which is tomorrow. Remember, the cadence for our program is Thursdays and Sundays. Those are the due dates that we've got. So Like I said in the orientation webinars, we're not going to take away your birthday if you're a little late of a due date. Don't stress about that. And go watch those orientation webinars because they're going to give you a lot more information about what's going on in the program. But I hope that you were able to get something helpful out of today's tune-in, and I really look forward to interacting with you. So far, I've seen I've gone through some of those pre-assessments, and some of the stuff that you submit, we actually give to your ID so they can help you connect with the things that you'd like to know more about. So that's super exciting. And then your introductory pictures have been great too. I love seeing them. Some beautiful sceneries, like there's this one foyer, 2-story foyer I thought was beautiful. And then pets are always wonderful. So Nerm, I love you, cat. I love all cats. But anyway, that being said, my wife and I love our cat too. So, that being said, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. I hope you've enjoyed this Tuesday tune-in. And I look forward to interacting with you as you continue online.